Alhamdulillah, praise and thanks be to Allah. Peace be upon all His prophets and messengers, alayhimus salam, and especially upon the last of them all, Nabi Mohammed sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Nahnu naqussu alayka nabahum bil haqqi innahum fityatun amanu bi rabbihim wa zidnahum hudan. Suwratul-Kahfi, Surah number 18, ayat number 13. Again, this is a very important juncture we are at. This is the beginning of verse number 13. This verse marks the actual start of the story of al-Kahf, the companions of the cave, and we'll see why. Let's proceed and then I'll come back to some of the explanations. Nahnu, we. Nakussu, we narrate. It's in the present tense, present future tense. We narrate. Now, I have highlighted to you the occasions where there is emphasis and also the occasions where there is no emphasis. If we don't understand that, then the nuances associated with emphasis or non-emphasis is lost. So the meaning as a whole sort of gets diluted. Here, the emphasis is intended. Why? There are two reasons. Nakussu means we narrate, so the word we is already included in the verb. Without the word nahnu, the sentence is a valid grammatical construct in the Arabic language. Why then is the word nahnu added? This is for emphasis purposes, right? And one more thing, by adding the word nahnu, it's like we narrate, but that sounds odd. So we translate it as we. It is in fact we who narrate, something like that. And more importantly, when we are dealing with verbal sentences in the Arabic language, the focus is on the verb. The focus is on the narration, the act of narrating. And who is the subject of that verb? That becomes secondary. In this case, we, in reference to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah doesn't want to do that. He makes it a nominal sentence. And the subject of that nominal sentence, the mubtada, now becomes nahnu in reference to we, that is in reference to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are some of the nuances, the subtleties of how this comes about. Nahnu nakussu, we, it is in fact we who narrate. Alayka, simple translation would be unto thee. Nabahum, their news. Bil haqqi, with truth. Innahum, indeed they. Fityatun, youths, indeed they are youths. Amanu, they believed. Rabbihim, in their Lord. Wazidnahum, and we increase them. Hudan, guidance. So in guidance or in terms of guidance. That is a word-to-word translation. So let us see why so many additional words are required in the sentence, in this verse, in this ayat. So nahnu nakussu is fine. So there is a pattern in the Arabic language. It's prevalent in the Arabic language. We can also think of examples in the English language or in other languages. So nakussu qasasun. So we narrate a narrative. Sometimes that is there, sometimes it is not there, and it can be implied. So these are rhetorics at play over here. So these are not understandable from nahu or sarf. These are balagha aspects, right? So nahnu nakussu, qassa yakussu, yakussu nakussu. So he, and then it becomes we. Nakussu qasasan. So that would be implied, it's not there. So that means we narrate a narrative. Okay. Then the nasab part is expected. Nabahum is expected. Alayka is expected later in the standard order of the Arabic sentence. Bil haqqi is at its proper place. This is the first part of the sentence. First part of the ayat. So whenever there is an interchange in the order, you know by now there is an added connotation of emphasis inbuilt intrinsically into the language. This is how the Arabic language works. So there is one more reason though. By putting the word alayka in front of nabahum, so the emphasis is now being shifted from the news to the person, the recipient of the news, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine the context of the story. They asked him these questions and they thought they will not be able to answer, and they are not able to answer. Then the conclusion is he is a false prophet. So we are narrating to you, specially and only unto thee. Specially and only comes from the rearrangement of the words, the emphasis that I was referring to. Specially and only unto thee. A narrative, where does that come from? The missing, word, nakussu qasasan, from there. A narrative about nabahum, their news. Naba is news and hum is the attached pronoun, so their news, right? Their news, a narrative about their news. Now the word is missing, and qasas, the word means, it can mean story. Okay, so another important point. So there are two words we need to understand, both qasas and qisas. Qisas is what you would, I mean, you can translate both the words simply as story. That is an okay translation. But if you want to understand the nuances of it, what's the difference? Because there are two words, means there has to be two different connotations. Qisas would simply translate to what we refer to in the English language as story, and qasas has a more, it has greater significance attached to it. So you can call it story, you can translate story, that's fine, that's an okay translation, but better to translate it as history. There is a sense of purpose now associated with the story, with the storytelling. And who is the storyteller in this case? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to whom is the story being revealed? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So those nuances are there. And the absence of the word nakussu qasasan implies that the word here is not qisas but qasas, the standard word. Qassa yakussu. From there, the verbal form. Anyway, so in the form of story, bil haqqi, with truth. Now, haqq, no, we will not translate al because it is noun, and these are detailed Arabic. I mean, from the linguistics point of view, we are avoiding those discussions, not required for this session. It's truth, simply translated as truth, without any loss of meaning. In fact, to add the word the would not be correct. Not just truth. So, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is narrating to the Prophet the story about the youths, and there is a purpose associated with it. Haqq also captures that connotation. So in the form of story, the word qasas, the implied word, qasasun, nakussu qasasun, in the form of story with truth and purpose. Now, what is the intent of saying all these things? The intent of saying all these things is simply, we narrate their history. Simply, we narrate their history. It's not just a story, it's their history. You wanted to validate whether the claim that the Prophet ﷺ was making is a true claim, whether he's a true prophet, or that claim is false, whereby he would be a false prophet. So the response is now coming. Now, just one more thing. I had told you that verse number 9 and 10 was a pre-introduction to the story, and verse number 11, 12 was an introduction to the story, and verse number 13 was the actual beginning of the story of al-Kahf. I said that 2 or 3 times, both during verse number 9 as well as during verse number 11, I guess during verse number 10 and 12 discussions as well. So how does a story begin? How does a story begin in the English language? Once upon a time. So we narrate something like that on that. So nahnu nakussu alayka nabahum bil haqq. So that's the way you normally begin a story. That's the standard storytelling mechanism. So you see the storytellers, they follow this mechanism. So this actually marks the beginning of the story. So what about that? Verse number 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, those are the pre-introduction and introduction. Those are profound verses, has their own sort of reasons why they have been put there, and Allah does not do anything without any reason. So the reasons are there, the reasons we have tried to explain during our discussions of those verses. But this marks the beginning of the story. And if you read from here to the end of the story, then you'll get the entire story basically. Some additional bits and pieces. So now how before the release of a movie, how trailers or teasers are released, something like that in those lines. Very, very profound. So you can consider the introduction to be a trailer and the pre-introduction to be a teaser, something on those lines. I mean, this analogy will not even close to what the profoundness that is captured in the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not even remotely close. But I'm trying to explain in easy language. Okay, so their history is now being narrated. So now the story has been told to them. So we are waiting for their response, and there is no response from them. So which sort of implies, which indirectly implies that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a true prophet, because had there been a case for them to find evidence against his prophethood, they would have done so, but they have not done for the last 1400 or so years. Okay, now the second part of the ayat is even more interesting. Innahum fityatun, very, very interesting. Indeed, they are youths. And I am sure you would have missed this nuance. The sentence started with a past tense and it now shifts to a present tense sentence. Innahum fityatun. It's not a past tense sentence. It's not a kana sentence. It's an inna sentence. Indeed, they are youths. Now, this story is about a past history. A past story, a past history. So why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala suddenly jumping in the present tense? Is this a mistake? No, it's not a mistake. So the storytelling, and look at who is the storyteller? Who can be a better storyteller than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself? Now, when he is doing the storytelling, the act of storytelling, the story is so profound, the narrative is so powerful, as if you can visualize it like you visualize a film. Before the film is actually made, the script is written, and if there is a powerful scriptwriter who is narrating the story to the stakeholders, then they are able to sort of almost visualize what's happening if the storyteller is a powerful one. So that is what is happening. You can visualize now this. It's as if it's happening in front of you. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to do. It is as if you are seeing them right now in front of your eyes. Indeed, they are youths. Aman. They believed, but in continuation we will say, who believed? Rabbihim, bi Rabbihim, in their Lord. Indeed, they are youths who believed in their Lord. Wazidnahum, and we increased them. Hudan, guidance, so in guidance or in terms of guidance. So this is mind-boggling. This is remarkable. So how many intricacies and subtleties and nuances were there in this verse? And it seems to be a simple verse, and indeed it is a simple verse. But if we don't dissect it to this level, the profoundness is diluted to a great extent. So as always, what we'll do is we'll read the Arabic text once. And you would have observed one thing. So the word hudan at the end of the sentence, of the end of the ayat, you would read it or recite it as huda, right? And most of the previous verses, I would have read it or recited something like hudan, something like that. It's not correct. I agree, it's not correct. I'm not here focusing on the tajweed rules. That's not the purpose of here. I'm focusing on the grammar rules for now, so that's easier for us to understand. Though it's difficult, but still I'm trying to give that sense. The sound endings, what is happening, how the language comes together. So that is the focus. So that's not a mistake from the grammatical point of view. From the tajweed point of view, and I'm not here to teach you tajweed rules. Not required. That has a different purpose that you can acquire through different forums, platforms. That's fine. But this is much more important to understand the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the language. Okay, so let's return to the verse. Nahnu naqussu alayka nabahum bil haqqi. Innahum fityatun amanu bi rabbihim wazidnahum hudan. It is in fact we who narrate, specially and only unto thee, a narrative about the news in the form of a story with truth and purpose. That is their history. Indeed, they are youths who believed in their Lord, and we increase them in terms of guidance.